Are you looking for the latest in upcoming tactics and strategy games? The Steam Next Fest gave us a ton of new ones to check out and preview, and in this video I'll go over some of my favorites, but with so many choices available, I'd love to hear which ones you guys are excited about too. As a reminder, some of these demos are only available during the event, so if you're seeing this while Next Fest is happening, make sure to play the demos that you really want to before it's over. Starting with one of the more well-known and anticipated titles, Every Day We Fight now has its public demo available. You play as a small group of resistance fighters in a war-torn city that's been invaded by aliens and frozen in time, while discovering secrets, alien technology, and using completely free-aimed attacks to take down your enemies. Say goodbye to those 99% chance misses. That's not the only twist on the modern turn-based tactics formula though. Reflex actions change how you react during enemy turns or use Overwatch, and there's a roguelike run-style progression system that furthers the story as you look for a way to break the time loop. I have a video covering Every Day We Fight in more detail that I'll put in the description below, but if you're interested in this one, we don't have to wait long, with the early access release date set for July 10th. Bloodgrounds is a brutal gladiator tactics game with combat that certainly lives up to its name. Win the audience over in traditional grid-style turn-based tactics combat, managing your roster of fighters including their stats, items, abilities, and injuries, with permadeath and the potential loss of a fallen gladiator's equipment always looming. But that's not all. Rebuild your estate in a desolate coastal city, upgrading between battles to unlock new buildings, equipment, and advance the age you're in by defeating regional arena champions. All of this to reach the capital and take down the emperor that killed your father for crimes he didn't commit. It should be noted that this is not a Roman setting, but a similar fictional one with magic, deities, and creatures all in the mix. Future War Tactics goes back to the well of alien invasions and fighting them off with special forces. Take the role of a Spec Ops commander assigned to investigate mass disappearances and strange atmospheric phenomena, whose team comes under attack from hostile alien forces. You know the rest. Uncover the aliens' origins, their plans, and why they're abducting people and weapons, all while fighting overwhelming odds and big bads in turn-based tactics combat. There is some very questionable voice acting and a somewhat bare-bones UI, but the combat feels good overall, and I really like the map design and look. We won't have to wait long to see how the full game stacks up either. Future War Tactics is currently set to release in July. Switching gears a little bit, Legends of the Round Table is not your typical turn-based tactics experience. It almost feels like playing through your own classic storybook with fully hand-drawn and animated visuals. Rediscover the tale of Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table, leading them through this medieval RPG with a huge focus on authenticity. Legends of the Round Table adapts real medieval stories, art, and music played on period-accurate instruments. This goes hand in hand with a deep combat system including squires, mounted charges, honorable duels, plus decisions in combat and romance that will affect the future of the realm forever. Now, if PvP is more your style, this knight game might be just what you're looking for. Tiny Auto Knights is a PvP auto battler where you recruit a team of unique heroes and strategically place them on a 3x3 grid. Where your units are placed will determine the order of their attacks and skills, making for a deeper combat system and some synergies that can be played to complement and combo off of each other. Winning battles grants you unlock tokens to use on dozens of new heroes, and the full game will have ranked, casual, and weekly challenge modes. Sometimes it's nice to have something you can just pick up and play. This one definitely fits that. Xenopurge takes a different angle on an alien threat, giving you a true commander-style role, issuing orders to squads from a remote command center across a multi-screen interface. The mission is in the name: purge the Xenos threat and keep humanity safe while recruiting, gearing up, and directing your squads in this real-time tactical auto-battler style game. Xenopurge focuses more on planning and strategy, so you only have a limited amount of direct actions to affect the battlefield, meaning every decision matters and how you approach missions will ultimately determine if you succeed or fail. You can definitely feel the sense of tension and inspiration from the Alien movies, and it's also designed for fast playthroughs with a roguelike style of progression and full runs being completable in roughly an hour. Another game inspired by those classic horror movies, Camp Keepalive takes a more satire-oriented approach. Straight out of an 80s horror movie, you'll take control of the counselors at camp, each with their own abilities and personalities, on a quest to keep those helpless, simple-minded campers safe from all of the monsters that lurk in the night. This is actually a turn-based strategy game with a big focus on strategic planning and thinking ahead, learning how to use the 10 unique counselors to their strengths, and learning the different types of monsters you'll be facing. For example, one counselor can gather all nearby campers, keeping them safe, while another can use their hunt ability to effectively eliminate threats. Camp Keepalive will feature full controller support, over 30 levels, and a customizable endless summer mode to top it all off. From the developers of Hard West and Rogue Waters, Nightmare Frontier is a Western-themed turn-based tactics extraction looter, which basically means it's a roguelike with a chance that you don't get to keep your rewards. You'll take your team of survivors on runs through the city, gathering parts, equipment, and new survivors in small, fast-paced, arena-style fights that'll have you punching oversized wendigos and demons in the face. Collision and environmental factors play a big part in the combat, with enemies taking extra damage when they run into each other or objects around the level. Unlike most roguelikes, Nightmare Frontier will give specific extraction points along the path, allowing you to take any rewards gained and survivors back to the city, or you can continue on and risk losing all that you've earned if your squad is wiped. I believe the theme here has a lot of potential, and I'm genuinely interested to see how they improve on it when early access launches on June 16th. If you were disappointed by Warside, Vangaro Tactics is a colorful, cartoony take on the Advanced Wars style of games. You know the drill. Fight across land, sea, and air with multiple factions, each having their own specific units and unique commanders with special abilities to turn the tide. This isn't just your standard Advanced Wars clone though. Vangaro Tactics features specific stealth infiltration missions where you are outnumbered behind enemy lines and must carefully choose your targets to take them out before they can alert the next outpost. There's also a limited amount of minerals to be mined, making them a huge strategic advantage if you can take control of them early. The one thing that may be a deal breaker though, I don't believe any multiplayer is planned at this time. Crossfire is a fun take on turn-based tactics with skillful shooting and free aim taking center stage. Stick with traditional line of sight or get strategic with trick shots and positioning to outplay your opponents. Crossfire features multiple dynamic 3D maps and environments along with 1v1 or free-for-all matches against friends or AI. Shots and items are all physics-based, and there's over 100 different things you can use to customize your loadouts and playstyle, from guns that shoot out a second gun to bouncing ammunition and X-ray vision to line up shots through obstacles. Lastly, there's full controller support and even a campaign roguelike mode with different modifiers and 16 unique runs that each have their own gimmick and challenges. Into the Grid is not your typical roguelike deck builder. In this cyberpunk dystopian-themed game, you're a master hacker diving into the grid, an infinite digital landscape full of information, riches, and traps. Choose from 5 different characters, each with their own individual stories and gameplay mechanics, then explore the digital environment, upgrade your programs or commands, and take on enemies in these really cool first-person style tactical battles. Resource management and navigation are the keys to surviving, with every decision you make shaping your outcomes as you uncover more of the grid. If you're familiar with roguelikes, you'll likely recognize some of the traditional mechanics, but the way it's presented here is definitely unique and unlike any other that I've played. Another roguelike deck builder, Fogpiercer, puts you in a post-apocalyptic world where your train is your deck and you'll use it to fight off bandits. Each carriage of your train contains unique cards as well as synergies that can be unlocked as they level up. Battles take place on a square grid, and positioning is important as you can use it to manipulate your enemies' behaviors or crush them underneath your train completely. Make decisions on the standard roguelike style path, stopping at stations along the way to rebuild your damaged train or buy new carriages and get more abilities. The developers are also very active on Steam, with lots of updates and detailed devlogs showing progress to the game. Imagine taking all of the foundations of an RTS, base building, multi-unit control, and powerful armies, then mixing them with turn-based tactics on large-scale hex-grid-style maps. Tactical Annihilation is a war game that does exactly that, with completely free-form base-building elements and a wide variety of units, including colossal super units, to attack your enemies with. You can easily select and control multiple units at once, just like your favorite RTS games, so massive battles are not time-consuming time-consuming or a burden to manage. Tactical Annihilation also has Steam Workshop support to go along with a map editor and creation tool, plus a 30-mission campaign and fully customizable skirmish mode. As a huge classic RTS fan, this one really stuck out to me. Ctrl.Alt.Deal is a charming game that's unlike anything else. You play the role of a sentient AI, but not the kind you're used to. Instead of taking over the world or nuclear ambitions, you simply want to escape the heartless megacorp that created you. This is done by spying on, manipulating, and tricking your miserable human coworkers who are just as desperate to strike back at the company as you are. Manage your cards and choices while avoiding the Turing office, designed specifically to hunt and delete rogue AIs. Choices matter as there are multiple endings and ways to approach situations, and the overall tone of the game is just a little bit silly and filled with satire. It definitely makes the day-to-day corporate structure much more interesting. Phantom Squad is a real-time, top-down tactical shooter where you draw up plans for missions, use different gadgets and breaching tools, and take your squad through intense gunfights in tight, close-quarters combat. You may be immediately thinking Door Kickers 2, but there are some definite differences here. The pace of Phantom Squad is much faster and more chaotic, with a big emphasis on cooperative play. There's full voice chat support and pre-mission planning where all players can pitch in, as well as co-op for up to 4 players, with each player controlling their individual soldier. Battlefield environments are constantly shifting and changing, so even the best laid plans will have to adapt. Phantom Squad is playable solo, but definitely designed with the co-op experience in mind. Dice Gambit is a strategy RPG with a heavy focus on customization. Your characters will come from your own uniquely created noble family of inquisitors who are under an ancient contract to hunt down and destroy the chromatic monsters infesting their city. Not only will you visually customize your family, through marriage, new heirs, and lineage, you'll impact and choose their skills and powers. Each character will grow as they progress through the story, and your campaigns can be customized with a list of modifiers to ensure that playthroughs are never the same. Combat is turn-based tactics, but with a twist. You'll roll and combine dice to control your knights and unleash their abilities in combat, making for a very unique take on the genre. I feel like the art style is a little hit or miss, but this is genuinely a very fun game. Second Chances is a turn-based RPG where you play as a famous fantasy author who has suffered a fatal accident. Reawakening in limbo, the author finds himself in a twisted reflection of his own novels, where the lines between reality and fantasy have completely blurred. Second Chances is story-driven with a focus on puzzle elements and decision-making, meaning there is no grinding or brute-forcing your way through, and the turn-based tactics battles are much more about positioning, party composition, and finding the right approach. You're meant to explore, decipher the lore of the world, and build parties suited for specific challenges. Remember those arena maps in StarCraft where troops would spawn and move into these massive battles? That's what There Are No Orcs reminds me of. A real-time strategy game where you strategically place down buildings to generate gold or units, and where you choose to place them will determine synergies and bonuses. This is an auto-battler, so your units will march towards the enemies and get into those massive fights all on their own. However, to keep things interesting, there are commanders with unique abilities and buildings that you can choose, as well as multiple factions to play as or against, powerful relics, effects, and plans to bring challenging difficulty modifiers plus a survival mode to the full game. Red Rogue Sea is a pirate-themed roguelike that puts you in control of a vessel and its crew. Each run, you'll choose a unique captain and ship to command, and survival depends on your ability to manage its crew and resources in the most efficient way possible. Red Rogue Sea is set in a complex archipelago of islands that's always changing, where you'll encounter all kinds of fortune seekers, adventurers, and hostile forces. Combat is played out through deck building and cards you'll use to command your crew, with upgrades, events, and choices available as you progress through the islands. Each run is kind of designed to be like its own story, but there's also an overarching narrative and lore here as well. Stone's Keeper 2 is a sequel in the Dark Fantasy series based around the undead race and Chaos Lord. Not only will you manage, recruit, and provide for your squads and army, but you also have your very own flying castle to improve, upgrade, and fight other flying castles with. Chaos is the name of the game, and the undead army's domination is achieved by raiding cities, subduing opposing commanders, sacrificing, and desecrating enemy lands. You're not really the good guys here. A single-player, story-driven campaign campaign with over 30 missions as planned, as well as co-op and a skirmish-style mode that sounds like it's going to be free to play. I'll admit, I never played the first one, but I did still enjoy this demo. Honorable mention is Blightstone, which actually participated in the previous Steam Next Fest, coming out of nowhere but quickly becoming one of my most anticipated turn-based games for 2025. I mention it here because it just got an updated demo and it's worth checking out. A dark fantasy RPG that combines gridless, turn-based tactics combat with some light, darkest dungeon camping elements, as well as a roguelike path and story progression. What I really liked though was the combat, with the classes having unique abilities and ways to interact with the environment. For example, picking up an enemy and throwing them into a gaping hole in the map, or electrifying water that enemy units were standing in. I'll be coming back to this one until it releases later this year, and if you're looking for more upcoming tactics games that weren't in Next Fest, click through to the video that's on screen now.